So welcome. It's good to see you. I
Good
think
to see you as well. It's been a year.
it's been a year. We sat on stage a year ago at another Creator Summit, which was super fun. A lot's changed.
Good morning, everyone.
First of all, I was struck by the fact that YouTube overall 80 million subscribers for premium and music globally. That's amazing. That YouTube ad supported for so long. You're like a subscription service now. How's it changing? What's going on here?
Yeah, so before I get to that, let me just validate what other people have said. We are living in a creator world. I certainly feel like that.
Creator World.
Yeah, exactly. My last 3 weeks have been the 10-year anniversary of FanFest that we hosted right here in Singapore, an event that was born here where we celebrate creators and fans, bring them together. First time in 3 years doing it in person, which
It's
was
great to
amazing.
do stuff again in person, isn't it?
Then we had our Creator Summit, annual Creator Summit last week, where we bring 100 of our top creators from across the region to come spend time with us. We had a lot of our product and engineering leads here as well to learn and get feedback. So that was a whole week of creators, very energizing, and now I'm here. So yeah, I mean,
Learning from creators, I mean, what do they tell you? What were some of the, obviously a lot of it is confidential, but are there a couple of key things you teased out of those conversations that you're like, whoa, that's pretty wild?
No, look, I mean, this is about getting honest feedback. Yeah. We're building products so that they call YouTube their home.
Right.
And so it's important to make sure that we're getting it right. And they're the folks that are on the ground using them to connect with fans. And so, whether that's availability of features, better localization, they have lots of questions about how this whole ecosystem will come together with multi-format. So it's just a great opportunity. I mean, we haven't traveled, right? Previously we'd bring our product folks into market. I would travel a lot more. So it was just an amazing opportunity to just celebrate together, but at the same time, learn and get better from that.
Yeah, and feel like you're part of this global community of creators. I mean, collabs have been such a big part for creators, and we've been locked down, and it's hard to collab when you're locked down somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely. And they were doing a lot of that. What was interesting, one of my observations, the last time we did it was 3 years ago. And then at that point, and creators are very busy and they work really hard, right? And so they would do sessions and they would disappear into their rooms to shoot, right? And, and it was mostly long form VOD. And now the cameras were just out all the time, right? They're just doing shorts and creating all the time, which was a big kind of change that I noticed in, just the whole content creation process.
Yeah, well, I talked a little bit about subscribers, but let's talk about shorts for a minute. How is, it's...
I'll take it in sequence.
Okay.
So let me do subscribers. So look, we're extremely happy. This is a business that we built on top of our, large ads business. Last time we spoke, we were at 50 million paid subs, so we've added 30 million paid subs since then. And what's interesting is this is feature-led, right? And so we made the decision that we weren't going to differentiate between our paid and non-paid on content. And so this is about a non-ads experience, it's about background and offline, which is great for music consumption and listening to podcasts, etc. And the products really succeeded extremely well. Some of our largest markets are right here in APAC, markets like Japan, Korea, India, and we have so much headroom, we feel. So tremendous success as a result of the dual, we call it twin engines of growth around monetization and subs revenue. The music industry is really happy. We paid them $6 billion in the last 12 months.
That's amazing.
And the industry perception metrics are really high. They see us truly as a valued partner, someone that is increasingly becoming more and more important from them from a revenue standpoint. So yeah, we're in a good place with both subscription, music, and with our industry stakeholders.
Isn't it fascinating to think about music and how it's changed from Napster killing music to what you guys are doing and some other people are doing to actually start paying musicians again and paying them actually a lot more what they're worth? It's fascinating.
And my boss has just left to become the CEO of Warner Music.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, I know, that was interesting too. Well, all right, let's talk about Shorts for a minute. Shorts is, it's a reaction to TikTok, but it's also become its own thing. I think you've done a really good job about building this short form, not to replace long form, but as an additional way for creators to be creative, but also ways to really welcome new creators into the fold. Talk about Shorts, its development, and the way it's grown here in Southeast Asia and Asia in general, and how it's kind of changed and expanded the YouTube experience for creators, but also for the fans.
Yeah. What's interesting, Jim, is, I take it a step back, and it's not really Shorts, it's about mobile creation, and about making it easy and fun. And so the fact is that when we launched Shorts and we started reaching out to folks that were doing short form video and other platforms, they would always tell us, YouTube was the aspiration, but you made it too hard.
Yeah.
And it was almost inaccessible. And so by now providing them with the tools where they can actually create short form content successfully on the platform, it's really led to a huge influx of new creators, right? Which has been really great to see. And so, we're seeing a lot more participation from our users. It's a two-way dialogue. And we've seen great success. I mean, we've published some of our numbers. So, and this summer, our metrics continue to grow month over month, but 30 billion daily views on Shorts, 1.5 billion monthly engaged users. So this is already at large scale, and this is a new business for us, right? It's not something that has been there for a long, long time. And creators are finding tremendous success. So we just put out a global blog post where we celebrated 4 of our creators right here from APAC that are Shorts first creators that have all surpassed the 10 million subscriber mark within a very short period of time. Priyal Kukreja is a great example. She was at the Creator Summit last week. She just got started a year ago, and she's now at 10 million subs just with Shorts. So tremendous success. We're investing in this area, so we've now got a Shorts community that is working with fast rising Shorts creators. It's now live in 10 plus markets here in APAC. And so, as a result of that, we are seeing, a lot more creation happening. And then I'm sure we'll get to multi-format and how that all comes together.
Yeah, well, I have to say, I'm struck by your comment that it's now allowing a lot of creators who felt like YouTube was too aspirational and too hard to do that they can come in. Kind of reminds me of the early days of YouTube, right? Where, you open up a camera, it's like, hi, everyone, I'm in my bedroom. And so is it coming back to that sort of feel again?
Look, I mean, I think there's so many different formats. I mean, even within Shorts, you're starting to see a lot of innovation happening with formats. I mean, YouTube is extremely diverse, which is, one thing that we pride ourselves on. But it is, bringing fun back into creation, right? I think we heard a lot from our creators, and you mentioned mental health and well-being and all of those things are important. And, and the reality is creators work extremely, extremely hard, right? And so now now you've got an ability to do it in a way that's a little bit more fun and easy, right?
So and let's talk about the multi-format creator, because it's not just new people coming in and building a presence on Shorts and not doing anything on what do you call the non-Shorts part of YouTube? Is it YouTube long form? Is it YouTube, I don't know what?
VOD, long form.
VOD, long form. You got to come up with a fancy name. We got Shorts. How about long pants? Anyway, but the multi-format creators who are actually using Shorts and the longer form YouTube to build connections between them. Talk about the emergence of that, multi-hyphenate creator and how they're able to switch between the two and what they do and how you support that.
So, I mean, look, we strongly believe, and we're starting to see some indications of this already, that the future is multi-format. I think that creators are already living in a multi-format, multi-surface world. Consumers have different expectations at different times. They maybe have 5 minutes and want to scroll through a Shorts feed, and they want to lean back in their living room and watch content that is longer. So, the consumer behaviors vary. Some people have short attention spans. Some people want to just really deeply engage with content that they truly care and love about. So it is about multi-format. And I think the successful creators will figure that out, like how to seamlessly shift between these formats so that they can get the right content in front of their fans at the right time. And YouTube is a great place for that. Today we're supporting Shorts. We've got established long-form VOD business. We've got live, which is a big part of the ecosystem. And then you mentioned podcasting, which is emerging, but audio. And so how do you put it all together? How do you tell stories in the right way using the right formats? And I do think that that's the future.
Yeah, and how do you tell those stories in ways where they work together? I've seen some creators who use Shorts as a way to sort of get people interested in the long form thing that they're posting later that week. In other cases, going to videos that they posted on YouTube maybe a year or two ago and cutting them up into Shorts and reusing it on the Short platform. What are some of the ways that you are telling creators to do? What are some tips or anything like that for the creators in the audience, how to think about working together with all these, add in podcasts, add in live, and the other areas of what you're doing?
And to be honest, we're learning as creators are learning. What we are doing is connecting the two, though. So we're looking at a viewer's shorts history, viewership history, and recommending longer form content to them now. We are looking at creators that are creating shorts and who's watching it, and then recommending if they have long form video to those folks. So building bridges between the formats. And when we look at the data, what we see is that creators that are doing both are actually seeing higher watch time and subscriber growth. So it's working for those folks that have figured it out. But we're trying to create lots of best practices, lots of case studies that we can share with folks, so that truly jointly we can figure this out and make a lot more people successful in this hybrid environment.
Yeah, I know a lot of people think that you build products and you know exactly how people are going to use them, and you just set up that. It's like, no, I think it's more like we build products, we think people are going to like it, and then they teach us how those products are going to be used, right?
And I think that there's a learning curve. I mean, just because you're good at creating long-form content doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be good at creating compelling short-form content. And the same thing for successful short-form creators. They have to learn how to tell stories in a different way. And so we're on this journey together.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about monetization, because first of all, YouTube, you deserve so much credit for getting creators paid and building the creator economy. And now you're kind of leaning into how we get shorts creators paid too. There was a fund, and funds have their limitations, which I won't get into, but there was a start. But now there's going to be direct payment to creators of ad revenue. Talk a little bit about that, and then how you think about bringing that to Southeast Asia and APAC in general.
So you said in the introduction, right, this is where the creator economy was born. Our partner program has now existed for 15 plus years. And these numbers are staggering. I mean, I moved out here in 2009. I can tell you our business was nowhere at this size, but we've said that in the last 3 years, we paid out $50 billion to creators, media companies, and music labels, right? That is huge.
It's amazing.
And so, I'm actually really excited and proud of the fact that we are extending monetization capabilities to short form. In fact, just a few months ago, we announced one of the biggest changes we've made to our partner program, which is bringing revenue share to shorts, creating a separate path for short form creators to become eligible for the partner program. And in fact, we're going further. We're also bringing our fan funding products to creators much earlier in their journey, because they may have, we talked about the 1,000 subscribers that are very passionate about your content. Ad revenue may not be meaningful, but they can certainly start generating very meaningful revenue through our alternative monetization products. So we're making monetization a lot more accessible. On the short side, we've announced that in the same way that we pay rev share in the past, so we're going beyond the 100 million fund, which was really just to get us started, to tell people that we were serious about this, but we needed time to figure it out, right? And figure out how to place the right ads, how do we create the right kind of revenue sharing mechanism. And so, creators will get 45% of their revenue from the shorts revenue, but it's different from how we've done things previously, because before you placed a pre-roll on a video and you could directly share it. Now it's in a feed, and so the ads are in the feed, so it's a pooled environment. We'll look at the total number of views that a creator's shorts have generated, and then share that revenue on a pro rata basis based upon that.
Yeah, from an attribution basis, it is not an easy problem to figure out. So, I know it's a first step in figuring out how do we actually attribute or get some of that ad revenue in the hands of creators. How do you see that evolving, and how do you see shorts creators sort of building more revenue out, and whether it's through sharing ad revenue or some of the fan funding that you talked about? What do you think the path is there?
So, I already know that we have paid out a lot of creators through the Shorts Fund. But once we switched to rev share in January, I think we're seeing really, really strong demand from advertisers, and so I think the payouts are going to be larger, and they're going to continue to grow. So we're excited. Our ads teams are working hard to figure out compelling formats that will work in this environment. So it'll be a positive for creators, right? This is a step forward, more revenue, which is obviously important. And then beyond just the shorts monetization, I mean, we have 10 different ways for creators to monetize on the platform today, right? And so there's lots of different ways in which people can not only generate revenue from the ad side, we share on subscriptions. Now we're doing that on shorts, but then tapping into fans.
Well, so talk about the fan funding stuff. You brought that up. What are the key fan funding capabilities available now for creators in APAC, and maybe where that's going?
We talked about this last time a little bit, and I think it was early days. I mean, today we certainly have examples of a lot of creators that are generating more revenue through some of these features than they do through ads. So memberships is a great example. This is about giving your subscribers something different than what they get on your regular channel. It could be the ability to connect more deeply. It could be differentiation through content. So we've seen a lot of success with creators using memberships. We've got things like super chat, super thanks, etc. So super chat's amazing to monetize live streams, used a lot by gamers. I think we're going to touch upon VTubers as well, which is really exciting. And so we're going to continue to build and improve on this suite. Part of it's also making it universally available. So we work through that and make sure that in every market we're launching these products. And then how do we better localize? Different payment mechanisms in different markets. So a lot of work to optimize, but I believe that there's a lot of potential for creators to generate revenue through these means.
Yeah, and you talked about localization, and again, this is something that we brought up earlier when I was talking to Ollie from Antler. The thought that translation and being able to come up with localized versions of it, whether it's through through captions or through automatic translations. I know that you probably don't have anything that you can talk about and reveal, but I would imagine that's an area that you think is sort of ripe as well, right?
Yeah, we're already starting to see the captioning and the auto-translate stuff become better and better over time. We've recently added the ability for creators to add multi-audio tracks, and we're experimenting, right? And so we do see that good content will travel if you can make it understandable. And so a lot of work going on. Obviously, there's significant improvements happening in that area as well, as far as speech and language and all of that stuff. And we'll slowly continue to bring that functionality over.
Let's talk a little bit about shopping and live shopping. And you probably sit here and laugh at the US, be like, oh, look at you guys. You're just trying to figure this stuff out. We really know how to do this. I was struck by the YouTube did their sort of live shopping stream with iJustine and a couple of other creators in the US, which was actually kind of fun. But how do you think about live stream shopping and shoppable links and stores and affiliates here in Southeast Asia? Where is it now, and how's it growing?
I'm not laughing at any of my colleagues.
Come on, of course you are.
I never do.
We're so lame.
But I think I think the difference is that the consumer behavior exists here, right? And one of the speakers talked about how for years live shopping has already been an established phenomenon, and so we're just building on top of that. I mean, we know that people come to YouTube every day to learn about products. Categories like electronics, fashion, and beauty are very, very popular. I turn to YouTube now for almost everything when I want to learn about something new. Previously, it used to be search or websites, and it's become through video and primarily through YouTube. And so we have people coming in with that desire. And now what we can do is help them make that purchasing decision and actually complete that purchase. And so I'm extremely happy, with the success we've seen. We've done a lot of work in Korea with live shopping. We've done hundreds of streams. The GMV is very, very attractive. The live tune-in is very, very good. We've now started to expand those to other markets. I'll just give you one example. From Taiwan, we have a creator called Mr. and Mrs. Gao. They celebrated reaching their 5 million subscriber mark with 5 different versions of a t-shirt, and they had 90,000 people on that live stream And the GMV was very, very attractive. So our product teams are really excited because, what maybe they're not seeing in the US and Europe, they're certainly see it resonate here. And so we want to build upon that. So there's first party for creators through Live, which is working extremely well. The example I just gave is one. We're also getting creators now, early days, but we're getting creators to tag products so that we can do third party. And we're doing a lot of work with partner merchants to integrate them so that that transaction can be completed as well. When you come in with intent, you learn, you get excited, and now you can make that purchase. And then, the Shopify integration is amazing because creators can take the shops that they have and connect it to their YouTube profiles to create a more seamless experience. So lots happening in the shopping area. It's still very early days for us, but it's a tremendous opportunity, and the early success here is very encouraging. Our product teams are focused right here now on APAC, which is what I want them to do.
Yeah, right.
Give us more attention and build for us and build for APAC first. And shopping is an example of that. And really happy to see the results.
I have this vision in my mind of a bunch of developers coming from San Bruno, hopping on a plane, and you being the tour guide as you take them around how shopping really works here.
So, it's not a dream. We actually had that 2 weeks ago. So our entire shopping leadership team, the product leads, et cetera, were in Korea for a whole week. For Singles Day, and they met with a lot of partners. They saw what was going on because the infrastructure is really fascinating, right? There's infrastructure that has been built in these countries to enable this to happen. So they actually were in town.
Yeah, I think that's great. I'm sure you're a great tour guide. Let's talk about gaming for a minute. What does gaming look like at YouTube here, particularly in Asia, and what does the future of that game streaming look like? You guys have done a lot of good work there. You've brought on a lot of great gamers and game streamers. How does it feel here, and where do you see that going?
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned the Creator Summit last week. We had some very large gamers with us here that are using YouTube to live stream and finding great success. What stands APAC apart is that it's mobile first, so mobile gaming. And live, and we're driving a big part of that. I mean, gaming has always been a huge part of YouTube. We're starting to see, obviously, from historically from just people watching gameplay to now a lot more live streaming. I think we have to do some work to create better discovery for live. I mean, that's some of the feedback that we get from creators all the time. And then how do we also monetize that live content better? Super chat is one way of doing it, but on the ad side, how do we monetize? So we're working hard to make those two things happen because that's the feedback that we get from live creators. We've also done things that are quite interesting. So for example, linking gaming accounts with YouTube accounts so that when you watch content from a certain title, you can actually get in-game rewards, which has been something new that we've tried out with a handful of publishers. Really excited to build upon that. I think the Web3 is an interesting area when you think about gaming as well.
Yeah, definitely. The play to earn and play to pay and the things that you can do there around collectibles and deliverables, super interesting. So let's talk a little bit about design. You rolled out, and YouTube rolled out globally, or has been rolling out some sort of subtle new design cues that feel a little softer and rounder. It's kind of more TV-like when I look at it in the US. And I think about my YouTube experience of watching on the big screen as well as watching on mobile. Very mobile first here in Asia, as you said. How do you feel about these new design capabilities? And is there going to be a lean-back YouTube big screen TV experience in Asia, or is it still your mobile, and that's all we think about?
You're paying attention, Jim.
I try.
These are subtle changes.
I know, but they're cool.
How much time do you spend on YouTube?
It's my job. No.
No, look, I mean, we obviously always have to continue to listen to our users, right? We talked about consumption patterns are changing. In the past, I would say we had a very utilitarian design. It was optimized for functional efficiency. But what we hear from users is that they want something that's a little bit more lively, a little bit more comfortable, a little bit more engaging. And so we're always iterating. But in the recent past, we have actually made a lot of changes around colors and transitions and shapes to make it feel a lot more of a comfortable environment to be in, and a lot more seamless as far as the viewing experience. So that's across the board, on the PC side, on mobile. And then you talked about living room. I mean, it's interesting because living room is actually our fastest growing surface now. And so how do we optimize for that? How do we build feature parity with mobile and with living room? And so a lot of work is happening in that area. We're trying to surface content that is more relevant for that environment. We've also brought shorts to the living room recently.
I know, it's crazy.
So you can do everything that you can do on mobile now in living room with shorts. Which is great. And it's an exciting revenue opportunity as well. So when we talk to advertisers, they're extremely keen to engage with us more in that living room environment. And so all three of those things are coming together, and a big focus. So when we talk about some of our key priorities as a company, shorts is certainly one, shopping, and especially when it comes to APAC, and then the whole connected TV environment. In the US, I'm sure you've been following, we also announced something called primetime channels, right? We're bringing other OTT services to that. I mean, and that's building on this whole living room phenomenon, right? And now it's going to unlock all of this longer form programming right inside the YouTube environment for folks to lean back and enjoy on the big screen.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, we only have about a minute left. I'm going to go through a couple of new technologies just to get your sense of, hey, where's this going, and is it something that you think is going to expand globally? And VTubers, hugely interested in this because not everybody wants to put their faces in front of the camera. There's definitely, avatars are huge. I talked to Code Miko at VidCon last year, and what she is doing is amazing. Japan, a big leadership in the VTuber space. How do you see VTubers, I don't know if that's the VTubing is the right word. How do you see that expanding around Asia, but then around the world?
It already is. I mean, the first time, I think it was 4 or 5 years ago, we had Susan, who was our CEO, in Tokyo, and we, as part of our TGIF, set up a live interaction between her and Kazunai, she was one of the first VTubers. And initially, we didn't know if it was a recorded video or, and suddenly she started asking live questions from Susan. She's like, "Hi, Susan," and Susan didn't know if she would, And so, and it was fascinating to see that, right? Like just happening right in front of you. And obviously, the industry's evolved tremendously since then, and it's not just a Japanese phenomenon. We have YouTubers now very successfully creating content in English and other languages. Gura is an example of a channel right out of Japan. She creates content in English, already got 4 million subscribers. So very successful. And the interesting thing is the fandom on these channels is crazy. And so most of these channels generate a lot more revenue through fan funding than they do through the advertising part of stuff, and very engaging. So it's an APAC first thing that is now going global, and like you said, sometimes you can overcome cultural hesitancy by embracing some of these new technologies. But if you haven't checked out some of these channels, go and watch them. They're really, really fascinating, really engaging content, kind of like glues you in there. And so it's not a surprise that fans love these characters.
Well, and the technology is just getting better and better for it too. You could spend hours talking about the technology. I have so much more I want to talk about, but we are out of time. So Gautam, thank you so much for coming to join us at CreatorWorld. Super excited about what you guys are doing, what you've done for creators, what you're going to do for creators. So everybody, if you give a big hand for Gautam and for YouTube. And we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back. We're going to talk about more on the creator economy and shopping and everything else. So thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thanks, everyone.